Tigra runs through the jungle. She is fated to die here. This was her punishment, and this is her death. But still, she can't help but smile. She grew up in a cage, a prisoner of her kingdom's baron. But here, in the Deadlands, Tigra is finally free. As the Marvel zombies track the woman down, she realizes that this is what freedom looks like. But the undead are concerned when they hear an all too familiar whir of machinery.
Imperfect.
Battle erupts between the zombies and the Ultron drone, and chaos rises. This is the reality of the Deadlands and perfection. On the planet of Battleworld, the cobbled together remnants of the multiverse lie the Forbidden Zones. One area is known as the Deadlands, infested with zombies and at war with perfection. The latter area is ruled by Ultron, who turned on his creator Hank Pym, slaughtered the Avengers, and wiped out the heroes of this domain in only 14 months. Now Ultron rules perfection alone, better and greater than humanity, and there is nothing that can change that. Nothing and no one. We then cut to the Shield, a massive wall that protects the rest of Battleworld, where a new arrival has come. From the Valley of Doom, a kingdom set in the Old West, Hank Pym was banished to the Forbidden Zones. He was punished for attempting to build a clockwork man out of adamantium, a crime against the will of the one true ruler and god of Battleworld, Dr. Doom. A friend on the wall managed to arrange for Hank to be able to pick which of the 3 forbidden kingdoms that Pym can go to, and hearing his options, Hank quickly chooses to go to perfection. After all his work on robotics from an era so far behind in technology, Pym would at least like to meet one proper robot before he dies. A sentinel takes Hank to perfection, and the man begins to wander towards the great robotic city at the heart of this domain. He stumbles on a dead Ultron drone, which has been taken down by 2 zombies. Hank flees when suddenly the undead are vaporized. Pym's saviors are the Vision, Jim Hammond, and Simon Williams. They recognize Hank Pym and make him an offer. How would you like to change the world? In the Deadlands, a Punisher rampages among the zombies. The undead don't understand this hero, who speaks in an archaic English they mistake for French. In spite of the zombies starving and being desperate for food, they cannot pin down the Punisher, who says he seeks this challenge away from Salvation and Jim Hammond, as the Deadlands are his one true home. However, before the battle can be concluded, the man is instantly vaporized. The zombies are devastated at this, as the attack has left very little of the Vigilante's corpse behind. And by the looks of things, they're gonna need every bit of strength they can get. A holographic projection of Lord Ultron stands before the zombies. The android says there is no need to fight. He's here to talk. Over on the Shield, the forces of the Wall cannot find Hank Pym's old friend, Janet Van Dyne. It is revealed that she has left the protection of the Shield to find Hank, having the Sentinel take her to the same spot it dropped Pym off earlier. As she sets out to find him, she wonders just what kind of mess Hank has gotten himself into. Elsewhere, Pym is introduced to Salvation, a place of refuge from Ultron and the undead. Built by the Vision, Jim Hammond, and Simon Williams, they welcome him in, demonstrating the effectiveness of the facility's shields, which are powered by the ionic energy of Williams, also known as Wonder Man. They also introduce Hank to Jim's girlfriend, a woman named Ryoko. But as Hank grew up in the Valley of Doom, away from the advancements of technology or social justice, he nearly offends the woman. But she is understanding and Hank is apologetic, vowing not to make anyone else in Salvation feeling uncomfortable, and understanding that the people here must be from a lot of different areas of Battleworld. The trio then explained to Hank how Salvation was built. Jim Hammond is an artificial man, but has no idea how or when he was built. He has vague memories of a war. But the only thing he knows for certain is that Ultron found him and Simon Williams and used them to build the Vision. Together, the three men watched as Ultron killed humanity and seized a part of this world. So they rebelled. They escaped Ultron's clutches and found other survivors, and together, they built Salvation. But every day, Ultron gets stronger and more powerful, while Salvation's barriers must occasionally tap into Wonder Man's powers to stay intact. It's a temporary solution and one that, sooner or later, will fail. That's where Hank comes in. The trio explains how another version of Hank Pym built the first Ultron. But this version of Hank says he simply lacks the education or knowledge to help. He doesn't understand electronics or even words like artificial or synthetic. But Jim Hammond and the others know they have no other choice here. They show him a lab filled with everything they managed to smuggle out of perfection concerning Ultron's original construction, but Hank says it'll take a lifetime before he can understand any of this. Simon says they don't have that long to wait, but they do have a little bit of time. After all, Ultron is constantly at war with the zombies too. At that moment in perfection, Ultron has some visitors. The android says it can't be trusted, but neither can his guests. However, they're both going to need to take a risk and work together. If they're successful, they will be able to conquer all of Battleworld and split it up amongst themselves. The zombified Magneto replies that if this is the case, Ultron has a deal. The zombies are hungry, a trait Ultron knows is quite common to his new allies. The android says that if their alliance is to work, the undead will have to accept that Ultron has planned for what is to come, and he knows exactly what he's doing. Hank Pym, on the other hand, has no idea what he's doing. Everything is new and confusing to the man, who doesn't even understand the idea of electronics. He has no idea how to save Salvation. But Ultron, well, that fella's probably full of ideas. Back in perfection, Magneto demands to know when they get to attack the humans, and Ultron says that even united, they'd work as little more than an angry mob. He says that for them to succeed, they must become something entirely new, and the android asks that Sabretooth step forward. In Salvation, Hank goes outside to get some air. He thinks of all the wonderful things that the Vision, Jim Hammond, and Simon Williams have accomplished here. He watches as Wonder Man flies around and is happy with a woman named Iron Cross. Elsewhere, the Vision enjoys a walk through a massive garden. He is accompanied by an elderly woman named Agatha, who he declares his love for. Over at their home, Jim Hammond and Ryoko enjoy some time together, and the woman says that Jim will make an amazing father. Hammond is worried about how their child will be partially synthetic, but Ryoko is certain things will work out. She remembers the first time they met, and how the Human Torch saved her life. Ryoko knows that danger is all around them, but still, she has never been happier. They declare their mutual love. Hank thinks that if these three men found a life for themselves here, then maybe there's hope for him as well. Out in the wasteland, Janet struggles against the zombies. She thinks on how she first met Hank Pym at a small town called Timely within the Valley of Doom. Back then, Janet was merely a working girl at a local brothel, but quickly fell in love with Pym and strove to be a better woman. However, their relationship was far from perfect, and eventually, Hank's obsession with building a clockwork man drove her away. As a result, she joined a gang to rebel against Old Man Roxon, the Baron of the Valley of Doom. These men taught her how to fight and gave her special pistols referred to as stingers, but they were no match for Doom's Thors, and Janet found herself sentenced to the wall. But now she has a chance to find her lost love, and this time, free of that clockwork man, nothing will stop them from being together. Ultron announces that he has been experimenting on the corpses of the zombies for some time, which does not amuse Magneto and the others. But the idea of combining the inorganic and the undead has long intrigued the android. It took some time, but now, well, Ultron thinks that the zombies are going to be very impressed with what he has done. Months later, Hank is still working away and thinks he finally has an idea. Suddenly, the alarm sounds. Everyone panics as their new foes, a combination of Ultron and zombie, with too many attacking at once for the city's barriers to handle. Jim says they were hoping Hank had a solution by now, as otherwise, they're all as good as dead. Pym says he has one idea, but has not tried it, and there's a terrible cost to his plan. If Sanctuary is to survive, then Jim, Simon, and the Vision have to lose. Surrounded by gruesome mixes of Ultron and zombie, Hank Pym shares his plan. He believes that the cyborgs are using ionic energy to combine the organic and inorganic. Ultron must have used the three men who stand before him to perfect this process, which gives Hank a valuable opportunity to exploit this to their benefit. The zombified robots have a hive mind, and Pym believes he can use it to take control of the attacking forces. But this plan will require a sacrifice of all three men. It will cost them everything, but save salvation. After a moment of quiet, Jim Hammond asks what they need to do. Hank says he will need to adjust the ionic shield to turn it into a beacon, so all he needs is some time. He suggests that if there's anyone they want to say goodbye to, they should do so now. Outside of the dome, Magneto is impressed. He asks what Ultron feels right now, which confuses the android. He isn't even certain that he can experience emotion, and certainly doesn't experience physical changes in the body relative to his mental state like humans do. In turn, Ultron asks what his ally feels as one of the undead. Magneto answers that all he feels now is hunger. It's the only emotion that matters anymore. Though today, he also feels excitement, not for the glory of conquest, but in anticipation of all those wonderful people he's about to eat. Meanwhile, the three men say goodbye to their loved ones. Agatha is the most accepting, as she always knew her time with the Vision would be brief thanks to the robot's ageless body. The tragedy is that she's the one that has to outlive him. Iron Cross, on the other hand, is devastated at this news, and refuses to accept this. Wonder Man tells her that this is his duty, and though he's scared too, there's no other choice. Finally, Jim Hammond has one request of Ryoko. If it's a boy, he'd like the baby to be named Steve, in honor of the bravest man the Human Torch has ever known. But the love of his life refuses to do so. If it's a boy, she's naming him after the bravest man she's ever known. Hank continues his work, reflecting on his time in the town of Timely. This quaint place lacked in technology, but Hank had a vision of what it could be, a world of wonders and marvels. One particular idea always fascinated him, that of a clockwork man. In order to make his machine strong enough, he sought adamantium from another domain. Pym was unclear as to the metal's origins, as the buyer refused to tell him where he got it from. But Doom does not like this metal crossing the borders of Battleworld, fearing it will upset the balance between these areas. So Hank found himself banished over the wall and stuck in this mess. The Vision appears and asks how much longer until he's ready, and Hank says he only needs a minute. But it's too late. They've made it through the barrier. A slaughter begins as many residents of Sanctuary are devoured alive. The heroes hold the line and protect the civilians, but they are vastly outnumbered. Before Hank can activate the beacon, a zombie appears and attacks the man. Luckily, he is saved by his one-time love Janet, who has finally found Pym. He activates the beacon, and the three heroes move in to make use of it. Hank runs outside and thanks his friends, apologizing for not having a better plan. But the Vision says this isn't the end, not for the people they love, and that's all that matters. He and Wonder Man enter the beacon, but before Jim Hammond can go too, the Iron Cross stops him. There have been too many goodbyes today, and Hank Pym altered the woman's cybernetics so she can be with Simon. And so it was. The beautiful bright light of the beacon attracted the attention of the humans very briefly, but for the cyborgs, it was permanent. And as for Ultron himself, well, it turns out he was no better than a clockwork man. Later, Janet comes to see Hank and asks what he is building. He replies that he isn't making anything and is just working on cleaning up. He asks her if she wants to help, to which she smiles. Meanwhile, Ryoko asks if they want to name their child Steve now that Jim has survived. He replies that he loves her, which, to be fair, is a terrible name. Hello and welcome to Comic Island. My name is Arden, and this is the complete story of Age of Ultron vs. Marvel Zombies. So, about this tie-in. I am very conflicted about this one. On the one hand, I like the writing and art, and it does a decent job at what it goes for. I never really read any of these comics and felt exactly disappointed. The writer James Robinson does a really good job at establishing a lot of these characters, their individual emotional arcs, and letting their final fates have significant resonance with the reader. Overall, it just isn't that bad of a comic. But the title really bothers me. It feels like it should be called Age of Ultron and Marvel Zombies, not Versus. Titles matter, and they reflect a reader's expectations, so I can't help but feel that Marvel just went with the Versus title to sell as many comics as possible. Now that's understandable to a degree, Marvel is a business after all, but it does feel like a bit of false advertising. I'm also not sure what exactly Robinson was going for with this story. This isn't a horror comic, as it doesn't really come across as suspenseful or scary. It isn't really a zombie gore fest either, as that vibe only really kicks in the final issue. It doesn't ring as a fun action piece with two titans battling each other like in Freddy vs. Jason or something either. I guess it's a weird sci-fi character drama, but I don't know what the writer was going with in that storyline here, genre-wise. It's an unusual tale, and while I enjoyed it well enough, I'm still not firm on the point of everything here. So I'm going to couch things on the following.